Okay, so we can record. I didn't set up any kind of sequence in what you guys will be talking about your projects, but I do have the timer. So I'm just gonna go as you are listed here for me on the screen, if that's okay. Yeah. So Nuncia, you're going first. You joined first. Wait a sec. If anyone has any slides, feel free to present the slides if you think that will help you. If not, just feel free to explain whatever your project is about. I posted today in on Slack channel, so I think all the details are there. Just briefly give us introduction into what your project is about. I am also aware that some of these things might even change as you do a proper thorough research. So don't worry about that. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to share the screen.
Okay, I have set the timer now. Can you see the timer?
Yeah, we got.
Yeah, I hope is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Sorry if it's in Italian. Just 1 second. Okay, so the product I chose to redesign is Heritage of Ireland application. And the title I gave to the project is Enhancing the Discover of Heritage Ireland Sites. So basically, Heritage Ireland is a platform where people can discover over 90 of Ireland's most iconic heritage attractions, like, for example, castles, monuments, prehistoric tombs, and so on. The sites are managed by the Office of Public Works, and their mission is to engage visitors from Ireland and abroad in order to enhance their understanding and the appreciation of the heritage of Ireland. So, as a foreigner living in Dublin, I wanted to know more about the places to visit nearby and discover Ireland hidden gems. But when I downloaded the application, it was hard to get information on where the sites were located. So I thought that the confusion was caused by the way they used on the application to describe the distance. So I thought that actually this was a real problem. So as a target audience, I have identified the families, travelers, and travel guides, and anyone who is interested in discovering the heritage of Ireland. And yeah, then as a next steps, I would like to walk through the discovery phase, where I will analyze the competitors and conduct usability tests.
Great. Thank you so much, Nuncia.
Yeah,
So,
just 1 second, I have to understand how to stop the...
Don't worry.
Okay, over there.
Guys, does anyone have any questions for Nuncia?
Yeah, so the Heritage Ireland, this is an app, is it a mobile app? Is that right?
Yeah, it's a mobile app, but actually they have also the website. But I decided to go for the application because I thought that was that I found much more problems rather than the website.
Okay, and the problem you've identified is really in finding the locations of each of the sites. Is it the heritage sites?
Actually, because they describe it as a distance. Actually, you can see also the kilometers and not where the place is. Maybe, for example, if it is in Cork or it is in Dublin. And actually, to verify these things, I just conduct a quick usability test with my boyfriend. And yeah, he found actually the same problem because he thought, I don't know where the places are. These places are.
Okay. Yeah. My only concern about it, and it's like I need to kind of look into it. Is it a big enough kind of project? You know, is there enough meat in it? You know, to kind of is it a big enough problem to solve? It could be an easy one to solve. You know, it sounds like it just needs maybe some sort of UI around location and mapping and that kind of thing. But I'd have to see the application really to give you any input on that. You know, I'm not sure what anyone else thinks.
Yeah, actually, I didn't want to share with you the application because maybe if I may ask some of you if they can
test it or
yeah. So I don't want to make any influence of you on you.
Sure, yeah. Well, your mentor will be able to guide you on that. You know, it's just, I mean, in the past we've had people who've come with like projects that are just far too big, and others have been far too small. So it's about getting the balance right, where it's there's enough in it, enough kind of detail in it to make a decent case study, but not too big that you're overwhelmed. You know.
Is the app something that's purely used just for the planning of visiting the sites, or is it actually something that's used while you're there? Is it giving you information about particular sites while you're there?
Yeah, actually, it has a basic functionality where you can see the lists, all the lists of the places. Yeah, you have a carousel of images, but you don't have a real map, for example, on where you can see where is exactly located.
Yeah, so probably Stephen, yeah, it would give you just the information on the place where you are at the moment. At the moment,
Gotcha.
yeah. But yeah, you know what, Dave, like it is a fair point, but it also depends, like, you know, in the way that you want to solve the problem. So probably, you know, there's a simple way of solving the problem and providing just like, you know, map where the thing is and so on. But, you know, there's also like, you know, if you're going to go a little bit deeper into the entire problem and thinking of the real use cases and scenarios and everything to solve the problem in a really emotional way, it could be a good way. But yeah, let's see what will come out with from usability testing. Anyone else, guys? Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Nuncia. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Daniela, do you want to go next?
There. Hi. I don't have a presentation, but I can read what I have.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, the app is called Yoga for Beginners. It's to improve the beginner experience from this mobile app. The first time I downloaded this app is because I was having back problems and I was looking for alternatives to exercise, and a lot of people recommended to do yoga because it was slow and it was a way to be easy on the back. So I was looking for apps because I think it was in lockdown and you couldn't go out. And yeah, I found this app, which it was interesting because it has routines pre-made. And so you can say, well, first of all, it's for beginners, so it gives you the full routine. But this wasn't exactly what I was looking for because most of the activities or the exercise were not suitable for the problem that I was having at the moment. So this made me realize that what I needed, it was something more personalized. And for this, I was thinking to create a flow where you can take user from zero, like nothing, to create a routine. And also in the app, you don't have something to follow. So you only watch the video and that's it. So you don't really know exactly what you're doing, or if that and a specific movement it's for a specific part, or you just watch the video and that's it. So my idea is to create a flow where you can, as a user, you can say like, okay, I need to work in, like in my case, in my back. So you can pick the exercise that are only for your back. And also it says that it's for beginners, but it's not really for beginners. So you need to have an idea of what, and for me, it was the first time that I was using the app, so it didn't work on that time, but I think it has a lot of potential to fix and to make it your own. So the people that I was thinking on focusing on is, well, if you want to join or to go to a class, it's very difficult because usually the classes are in office hours or they're not close to your house. It's a whole thing. So an app, obviously, it's easier to just get in on your phone, your iPad or whatever device you have. And also, if you're traveling, you can just do it in your hotel. And the people that I'm thinking to focus this is for people that it's new, like new practice in yoga, is to get them interest in doing this, but also to track the advance that you're having. So my idea, and this is something that I was just thinking of, is like on your Apple Watch that you have like to complete circles. So to do something similar to complete circles, or to have a way to see that you are doing what you're doing. And I think it motivates you, or at least it motivates me to keep exercising and keep doing the activity that I'm doing. So that's something that I was thinking on adding, but that's something that it just came to my mind before the meeting started. So that's it.
Is it what you're looking to do, Danny? Is to kind of create the habit?
Yes, actually it is. And also it is very interesting because not all of the postures are really for beginners. So after that's something very interesting, because after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, you start to be more flexible. I don't know if that's a word. So it's starting to be easier. But if the first time that you do it, and then they give you a posture where you have to put your leg behind your neck, it's like, okay, come on. So yeah, it's just to motivate and to help you not to desist, or to say like, oh no, this is not for me. And like that happened to me the first time.
Okay. To kind of follow the process in a
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Have you spoken to have you spoken to any other users, and maybe just
Actually, yeah, I have a lot of my friends practice yoga, and my family, and that's something that most of them go to classes when they can, and they just practice what they remember. Well, because classes are usually not an everyday activity. So usually what they do is they just kind of remember I remember I have or I did this, and they do that. So it's not something that they have like a routine out of it. It's just out of what they remember, or just practice. But it's not like a full routine.
okay. Guys, you have any questions for Danny?
I think it's a really interesting area as someone who's tried and failed to start yoga many times. I think there's a couple of logistics to just bear in mind about testing, how you're going to test the effectiveness of this or of your design. Obviously, if you're getting users if you're thinking about habits, you would have to test over a couple of weeks, which can be quite challenging. So just if that's the plan, that's fine, but just plan it early, give yourself more time, because longitudinal studies, I guess they're called, they just require a lot of constant making sure people are doing it and stuff. And yeah, and just in terms of like an intervention, just again consider, you're talking about an Apple Watch. That might be difficult to prototype, so you just have to bear that in mind, and how it will affect your research, your user testing, and that sort of thing. But it sounds like a cool project.
The Apple Watch, it was more to, I know it's gonna be difficult to link one thing to another, but maybe to build something. I don't know if it's, I'm just thinking out loud.
Of course. Yeah, no, I know it's an early stage idea, but it's just to consider that when you make it more complicated, it's going to get way more complicated to test. So you just have to keep that in mind in terms of how much time you have, and that's it.
All right, it makes sense. Thank you very much.
Very good point, Rob. Okay.
Hey, Daniela.
Hey.
That sounds like there's loads in that, and as you were mentioned there at the start, I think you were going through, you had a few kind of assumptions for things you'd spotted when you were going through it. I think your research would be really interesting if you kind of document some of those assumptions, and then maybe what you could do is then, if it's a specific flow, if you're doing some usability testing, then you could test a specific flow, or maybe it's one flow and then a second flow going in to see the progress, and then validate some of those assumptions. Or it actually might give you insight as well into some of those other problems maybe other people might have, like a beginner or someone who's more frequent with it, and it might help you then kind of shape the problem statement as well. So I think you'd actually get really good research out of a usability test on that, and combined with an interview as well, kind of to validate those assumptions.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Danny. Crystal here.
Hi, Crystal.
And just to add on to what Ash was saying there about the research side of things, an Australian app that I have that I find really good is, it's called like the Kick app. So it's called Keep It Cleaner. And it does kind of do what you were saying about that when you do go onto the app, you do select your level. So whether you're a beginner, advanced, etc., and you can select your activity of exercise, like yoga, Pilates, this, that, the other. That I think the way they have their information architecture and the way it is laid out, I think it's so user-friendly. It's definitely an app that I love going on to, because they make it so easy, and it's just catered for you. Or else you could sign up to a program, and it gives you reminders and little notifications to do your workout today, or check in kind of what you're doing and stuff. So it's called Keep It Cleaner. It might be of benefit. It's on the App Store.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thanks, Crystal. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Danny. Well done.
Yeah.
Owen, do you want to go next? We'll start the timer now.
Yeah, I'll share slides. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so mine's also, I was thinking of doing something in the fitness world. So I was kind of specifically looking at Strava and making it better for tracking kind of strength and conditioning workouts, as well as kind of weightlifting or powerlifting or whatever. Currently, when you go on the app to record, we'll scroll down the page. When you go on the app to record like a strength and conditioning workout, it only really records your time and your heart rate. It doesn't actually let you record like what exact movements you've done. If it's kind of, you can't really put in reps and weight ranges and stuff. So that would kind of be my thinking, is to be able to add in a feature that lets you basically record exactly what movements you've done. Initially I was looking at a few different apps like Google Fit and stuff, and I think Strava is probably where it could be most beneficial because of the kind of community and club building within Strava. So if you don't know anyone else that goes to the gym, at least you can go on and you could see what kind of workouts other people are doing and how to kind of progress through that, as well as giving yourself kind of a history and somewhere to go. Initially, I've kind of asked a few people on what they use to kind of track their workouts in the gym, and a lot of people just say that they just use the Notes app on their phone, or some people like used to bring a notebook and stuff. So that's kind of where I'm looking at the minute. And then I kind of brushed over quite a lot of stuff there. Kind of the target audience of people that I'd be looking at for my research would be kind of people who train in a gym maybe 3 times a week, current fitness app users, so people who already use Strava or MyFitnessPal and like Run Club, and then kind of looking at professionals area and seeing if there's any good information there from coaches, football teams, or personal trainers, and kind of people that would assign plans, and then they could check in on their team and see that everyone's kind of gone and done their strength and conditioning and that kind of way.
That's great. Thanks, Owen. Yeah, perfect. Any questions for Owen, guys?
Oh, and I think, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
There's 2 ones. Owen, I think it's a really good problem space. It's definitely a problem worth solving. As a gym goer myself, jumping around apps and notepads and whatnot, it's definitely, there's a problem to be solved there. I think from what you were kind of started with, it was very much kind of focused on just tracking, and then you're kind of moving into more socialized side and stuff. You might need to kind of narrow that down a little bit to find that you'd be able to actually make a tree project at that. But I think if you can kind of start in your kind of research as a kind of wide open, and just even talking to gym goers, surveying them and seeing what the biggest problems are in connection to digital experiences and whatnot, you could have a really nice project there.
Yeah, so initially I was just thinking of it in terms of recording, because I've kind of jumped around a few different things myself. And then kind of when I was thinking during lockdown, I was using Strava, and everyone was kind of running in their 5 kilometers, and there was a weird online community where nobody could see each other, but you could see everyone was doing running and stuff. So I thought it'd be nice to try and integrate that community into it. But yeah, I think a lot of people would just want it for maybe just the data.
Yeah, Owen, I worked on an app that's very similar to what you're talking about. So a friend of mine is the strength and conditioning coach for the Irish rugby team, and he had an idea for an app that was all around kind of elite athletes and sort of very high level kind of fitness, and he wants to put out content, like really good kind of workouts for strength and conditioning, and I helped him. I did a bit of research. I mean, it happened over about 3 years. It was sort of piecemeal, helping him out in bits and pieces, and I did kind of wireframing and that kind of thing. And then he went off and got the app designed by a print designer, which was a terrible idea. So it's only just been released. It's called Ply, Ply. So check that out. And if you want to have a call, I can just talk you through what I did, and like if I can remember everything about it. So it's a while ago, but I'd have a fair bit of insight there in terms of working on that, and it does track kind of reps and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So a lot of the kind of problem areas were addressed on that. It's far from perfect. So he didn't have a lot of money, so he was kind of I was helping him out here and there, and he had a couple of app developers working on it and a couple of different UI designers who were print designers. So it was a bit of a scrappy project, but it could be potentially one that you could redesign, as in start with that, and see if you can make it better,
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that, and I'll probably text you during the week about it as well. So
sure. Yeah, no worries at all.
Great. Anyone else has any questions for Ron? If not, we'll move to Dean then. Dean, do you want to go next?
Sure, yeah. Just share my screen. Hey everyone, I'm Dean. Just for context, I just finished my postgraduate degree in UX, and this is pretty high level, so I'm looking forward to feedback. I do want to say Dave's my mentor, and when I told him I used to be a print designer, he was very encouraging. So I know his true feelings on that now. Whoops. So that worked there, yeah. So the project title I have is redesigning the organization and social aspects of saved content on Instagram. This is born of kind of Instagram. We know for years has increasingly moved away from kind of small pictures from your friends into more richer content, detailed stuff, content that you might describe as worthy of saving and returning to again. This could be recipes or instructions on how to, build something, or kind of small tips and tricks on household things or cleaning or anything. I think based on early research, anyone I've asked has said they've seen a post on Instagram that they didn't save and they wish they could get back to, or they're like, yeah, I want to find it again. The current flow to get back to a saved post on Instagram is 5 clicks, 6 if you include opening up the app. These clicks all happen in various different kind of points of the screen: top right corner for a hamburger menu, center of the screen to get to your saved content, here within the hamburger menu in the center of the screen, and then you kind of come up on your collections. They're buried, really. They're kind of like hidden in there. So saved content is something I use a lot. I go through this flow a lot. I find it quite frustrating. And I think some other people do too. The target audience that I think could benefit from a redesign of where this content is positioned, how you access it, and potentially how you organize it and share it socially, could be, I think, anyone who uses the app and saves, stuff they're interested in. I also think Pinterest users, I don't know if anyone here is a Pinterest user. I still do sometimes. And kind of taking some of the features from Pinterest and how you organize and store content and group it together, and how you can then share that with other people, would be really interesting in kind of like a cut down way in Instagram. I also think digital scrapbookers and students or anyone learning new skills could save maybe tutorials or things to these lists. There could be ways of exporting. I know that maybe doesn't suit Instagram, but ways to get that content out of the app and engage with it in different ways. That's it. Really looking forward to feedback on that. I'm not sure. I was kind of worried about going too deep and doing something too big or doing something too small. So that's where I'm at the moment.
Thanks, Dean. No, that's a great problem to solve, in fairness. It's the chances are that you will run into the same post again sooner than you check this. At least happened to me. But yeah, very good. Anyone has any questions for Dean, guys?
I just have anyone who entered, can't remember if it was last round or 2 rounds ago. Remember, a guy called Stephen did a similar project on TikTok. Oh, yeah. So if that's on the site, it might be worth reading what he found.
Thank you.
Is about that same kind of finding saved content, and he was specifically looking at education and kind of like how people learn things through. And I guess my advice after seeing that project, which was a great project, was I think it's good to keep focus on what the actual human problem is that leads to this necessity, right? So really focus, keep your mind open to why people are saving in the first place, because what you could end up is, instead of just redesigning the Instagram feature and ending up with like a faster horse, so to speak, you might end up realizing that actually there's a whole side way of doing this that it's actually much more effective. So I would just, without driving yourself mad, obviously you do have to put a scope on this at some point, but just to, when you're talking to people, really understand like why they're saving, what kind of stuff they're saving. Are they using it as like a hub to go to other places online, or is it contained, things like that. I think could lead to some really interesting kind of solutions. Yeah, sounds like an interesting project.
Nice. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, I mean, I'm very open for this to after the research phase to kind of veer off. I was saying to Dave earlier on Slack, I've fallen into the problem before of coming up with a solution that's looking for a problem. So with this, I wanted to kind of take a step back and just sort of cast a wide net and see where it ends up.
Yeah, I think you've done that. It's just because you can. Sorry, I speak for myself. I'm like, I've got it. After like 2 interviews, I'm like, I've got it, and then I'm reversing all my other insights into that. And actually, it's really important to kind of go like, well, what's actually, if someone is cooking and they have their phone down on the counter with this open, what do they need? Is it like, do they need to be able to use it with one hand? Like, just really kind of zoom out and think about it that way. But it sounds like you're doing that already. So I'm looking forward to seeing where you go with it.
Yeah, I mean, like I think there could be a very good reason why the save button is buried, that people potentially maybe they don't want it, or you could maybe look at customizing the main navigation on the UI for people who do kind of save a lot or use that kind of feature, and then you could really optimize that feature and make it as good as possible for the users who actually want it.
Yeah, another idea that crossed my mind was sort of maybe some sort of timeline of content of where you've been in the app, an easy way to kind of traverse back and almost maybe engage with a different spider web off of one post and find new ways of navigation. So that is related to another idea I had.
Yeah, saved on history and that kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly.
Great.
Yeah.
Hi, Dean. I think it's a really good idea. It's definitely something that I don't like on the Instagram app. So I'm curious to see how you would kind of tackle this. Is it more the journey that you're kind of going to focus in on, improving that for users, or are you kind of looking at it as a feature of how you can actually like add things to the saved, like within your saved images or archives or whatever, that you could maybe put certain things into folders, like kind of like the way when you save things on the app?
Honestly, it's a bit of both at the moment. Initially, I came with this because I was trying to just take a step back and be like, what UX challenge do I want to tackle? Is it an onboarding? Is it creating a single page splash screen, or is it a user flow? So I settled on user flow initially, and this is where I came to. But then from that branched into, well, I would kind of love to see a nice filtration system here, or maybe a very high level keyword tagging when I save a post to be able to get back to it in a different way through a search field or through filtering through those tags. So honestly, initially the answer is both, but I would hope now through research that I pick one and do one. Again, this sort of depends on what Dave thinks scope wise and what I'm going to be capable of doing over the course of the program. But in an ideal world, I would love to tackle the two of them.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Very good.
Hey, Dean.
Hey, Ash.
Hey. We worked together before.
Okay.
So I think that's a really good idea. And as you were going through that as well, I know that just from myself, just even from a navigation perspective, I always get confused. I actually went into it when you were talking through it there on the homepage. I look for it on the homepage and it takes me a minute to realize it's actually on the post page, and then I go searching. And as you went through it there, when I went into my own saved, they're all in one folder, and I didn't realize you can actually make folders. So I actually think, again, if you were to test, I know you've mentioned a few things there, but if you were testing, a few different, whether it was 3 tasks that you gave users to test, I think you'd actually get a lot of context on some of the problems there, whether it's navigation, and then even, as Rob said, understanding that mental model of why people are saving videos and when they go back to them. Because I know there's one that I go to refer to, and I think it was one of the first ones I saved, and I'm scrolling. So yeah, I think that'd be really interesting.
We need a tag for you that just says the one I'm looking for, and you can just click that every time.
That would be great.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dean. Thanks, everyone. Louise, you want to go next?
Yeah, I go next. Yeah, so hi guys, I'm Louis. So my idea was kind of improving and revamping the consumer experience on the eBay product page. So I'll bring up the page I'm kind of talking about now. So I don't know if you can see this. This is for you. People don't know, eBay is just another kind of marketplace e-commerce store where shops and anybody online can sell anything. So at the moment, online consumers of the store marketplace struggle with making purchases on the product page. And this is due to the page's cluttered and overwhelming screen, lack of clear call to actions, and kind of excessive and incorrect colors and tones and fonts and so on and images. So like these overcomplicated page kind of paralyze the visitors a good bit into making purchases, and then therefore this poor user experience kind of leaves the consumers annoyed, and therefore eBay lose revenue through purchasing, and staff have to handle disgruntled customers, and then eBay have reputation damage and marketplace share loss. So my idea was kind of just improving this overall style of the page and consumer experience and everything, and then through this the kind of better experience, eBay will have many benefits and so on. And then my target audience, because eBay is quite wide, it says itself its target audience quite wide, a wide demographic. So I was thinking mine would also be a wide demographic with lots of kind of user testing, choose satisfaction levels and platforms and tests and timing, how long items take, and so on. So yeah, that's kind of my idea at the moment, just testing out and changing the overall look of this page, make it a more clean e-commerce site for better user experience. Yeah. Cheers.
Thanks, Louis. No, that looks great. I actually always looking forward to see desktop when somebody's looking into desktop. What did you say? Sorry guys, if I can go first. What did you say you're gonna test first? Is it the thing that you're trying to focus on is a product page, or is it entire kind of buying experience?
Well, no, more the product page. So like I'll be testing kind of like if someone want to find out a piece of information, how long would it take, or kind of if they want to find out the seller information, like those kind of more minor things, how long would all day take, like kind of all the information you want from this page, how long would it take? Because I know and you go to Amazon or you go to any other online store, Adidas, you can find everything and see where everything is very easily and quickly. While with this page and like even the app is kind of the same, it's all a bit all over the place. There's kind of a lot of information nobody really needs or wants. So, which yeah, obviously harms the consumer and business.
Okay. Thanks. Guys, does anyone have any questions for Louis?
I suppose I have no real questions. But I'd be very much looking forward to see where you're going with it, Louis, because it's such a mess of a of a website on desktop anyway, and even like the app just looks completely different as well. It looks like a completely different brand almost.
Yeah.
And I know Amazon have made huge strides in the last couple of years with their UX experience, especially on desktop anyway, as well. So eBay are just way behind in all that sense. It'll be interesting to see where you go with it.
Yeah. Cheers.
Great.
It's amazing that eBay, the quality is so poor for a company that's been around for so long. You think they'd know better, So I think it's a great project. It's got a bit of everything in it, and it'll be easy to test. It'll be easy to find participants and that kind of thing. So yeah, no, well done. It's a great idea, and it's great to see somebody doing a website.
Yeah. I would just suggest that you pointed a couple of times to like how cluttered it is, and it is cluttered, right? And we all know that it doesn't look good. But you mentioned that there are things that are there for no reason, And I would suggest that with eBay, particularly the product pages, you have a very specific set of constraints and kind of needs that other e-commerce sites don't have, right? Because you need the seller to author all this themselves. You need to be able to cover everything from headphones to like a car. You know, it has a really wide range. And I think if you're just trying to tidy up the visual of it, that's good. But I think you need, you know, you mentioned getting like the information density down. I think you need to pick a couple of metrics here to kind of go, why am I doing this? Because very few businesses will actually do like just a refresh. They might every 5-10 years, but what I think would make for a stronger case study is if you go, what would eBay benefit from with this product page? Not just looking better, not from a brand point of view, but from actual like usability, business point of view. Are you trying to, you know, is it product certainty, right? Which you can measure. You can measure product certainty on this versus your, you know, new design. You can show the improvement there. You know, you're not going to be able to measure something like conversion rate, but you might be able to determine like intent to purchase or something like that. So I would really suggest you kind of flip it around a little bit and start with the metrics. What if you were in eBay, how would you present? Because like eBay are doing fine, you know, like their product page is a mess, but like the business is doing fine as far as I know. So if you were in there, you would have to kind of go like, look, I think we can actually improve our revenue here through making these changes. And I think that's a big part of being a user experience designer. So I think you've got a great project there and a great case study. You just have to make sure that it's linked to reasons for doing things, because you can tidy something up and it'll look much better and, you know, much more presentable. But what makes a really good case study is if you tie it to reasons why you've done each of those things. So that'd just be my suggestion, is just pick a couple of metrics, like business metrics that would be important for eBay, and kind of look at how you would how improving the user experience could improve those metrics. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was thinking that kind of, yeah, how to measure, because I saw a few articles about it, about how the hierarchy in eBay just a bit old school, and obviously, like you said, it's eBay, it's doing fine, it's not doing as well as the others, and therefore no one really wants to change it to do anything, and kind of that kind of just keep going model. So yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, kind of you have to kind of measure, is it worth it, and so on. Yeah, the business models.
Yeah, it's just like everyone on this call understands the value of design kind of inherently, right? We'll know that looking at that is unpleasant and you could make it better. It's just when you're presenting your case study to sort of hiring managers, people like that, of kind of going like, well, here's why I've done it. It's not just a short back and sides. It's like I've actually reconsidered everything here. So yeah, I think like, look, eBay it's old fashioned. You can definitely add that context of they're falling behind competitors. That makes for a great intro, you know, to any sort of case study. But just find some metrics and base it on that. And I'm happy to chat about that at any stage. I've been working in e-commerce for 6 or 7 years, so I'm happy to chat if I can help on that front.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Cheers.
Cool.
Great. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Louis. Stephen, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Stephen. I'm new to the party. So I might share my screen. So yes, I had a couple of ideas, but I kind of whittled down to redesign the book experience for the Aer Lingus mobile app. And motivating factors are kind of I really want this mentorship to be a real focus on improving like my strategy and my research kind of to the UX kind of side of things, more so than the UI. So I just kind of wanted a meaty one that would like allow for a lot of good research and good practice and usability testing. So And then also just in terms of like sectors that I kind of want to get into is like a transport or anything to kind of do with like helping people move freely or kind of allowing them to kind of like travel easily is kind of like a big motivating factor. So yeah, Aer Lingus I just thought would be a good one to tackle, and just kind of looking at you know, kind of reviews and trying to establish sort of like what kind of common issues people seem to be having with the app is that there seems to be a complete discrepancy between the experience that you get on the desktop versus the mobile. You know, some functionality just isn't available, like booking multi-city trips is just something that just doesn't exist on the mobile app, but it's something on the desktop. And then when people are kind of going through the process and either the thing just completely crashes or like they try and add things and after they make a booking and just, you know, it you know, doesn't work. And then just in comparison to like, you know, nearest competitors like Ryanair, it's just a totally far advanced and far enhanced experience in general in terms of like steps that you have to take are kind of minimized in terms of when you're going to check bookings. You know, like on Aer Lingus, you almost most cases need to put your booking reference and your kind of family name in, whereas, you know, in Ryanair it's more like your profile kind of has already pre-populated. So it's really like a case just to kind of get into really want to kind of get a research into like what are the, you know, the biggest issues that people are having as they're going through that process, seeing like where and wherever that process that journey can be enhanced, and ultimately just trying to pivot that, you know, creating a better Aer Lingus experience that like matches their competitors. So yeah, so I guess in terms of outcomes, just, you know, want to create quicker, more seamless, less errors as you kind of go on. Success would probably, like, I guess speed is one success, but I'd say success is like trying to like, if like establishing what the biggest like pain points of that journey are, and like trying to eradicate or like minimize the errors by the end of it. So the case of like trying to test out the Aer Lingus app as it exists and trying to establish where those the biggest falling points are, and then like, you know, measuring that against, you know, what the improved experience does. Does it conquer those? Are people having less difficulties as they're going through the process, and like is that experience seamless with the desktop? The target audience is pretty broad, so it's pretty much anyone that's ever booked a flight, and like mainly the would be like people that are kind of already passengers of Aer Lingus, maybe frequent enough flyers, and then also like measuring testing people that probably have been swayed against Aer Lingus because of experiences like this and are more in favor of competitors like Ryanair or elsewhere. So it'd be good to do a bit of research into not just Ryanair but just other airlines out there, and just see how the booking experience kind of matches and compares to that, and just in preparation for just going through the process. So yeah.
Thanks so much, Stephen. This actually reminds me of one project I had in college. Rob, if you remember, I actually did multi-trip with Aer Lingus. And, you know, in fairness, there's only so much that you can do with these things, like, you know, because I kind of think, well, feel free to disagree with me, guys, but like, if we're trying to kind of improve the journey, say like, you know, booking on Ryanair is very seamless, it's very fast. So I kind of think, is it so much that you can do that is kind of better than that? Happy to take any suggestions, or anyone who disagrees with me. But I think it's a very
Ryanair or Aer Lingus.
I say like with Aer Lingus, there's only so much that you can do, because if you just kind of, you know, copy and paste what Ryanair has, because Ryanair has a really, really good booking experience. It's one of the fastest ones, and I booked with a lot of airlines. So I'm kind of thinking, you know, in the same way, like when we're starting with a banking app and then we just copy and paste, take from Revolut, is, you know, does it always comes to that it's never really wow solution, but it's rather just I don't know, just to be careful about that. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like in my mind, like I booked a flight recently on Aer Lingus and I found it pretty good. Like, you know, like Val, you'd know better. You're a jet setter. You're always flying all over the place. But it didn't, like, I didn't book a multi trip or whatever, you know. But in terms of just general, like booking a simple flight, it was to Portugal and it was pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Val? Is Aer Lingus okay?
Yeah, it is okay for a single journey, but it's just annoying, even the details that you have to key in every time, like, you know, your prefix. Even though I'm logged in, I still have to key in the details. I don't know why. And
Oh yeah.
I don't know, sometimes you would expect. And then it's very, I don't know, yeah, this is not booking journey, but it's very complicated when you're trying to check in because you never understand some things, like, you know, or maybe it's just, you know, it's just me. Guys, do you have any questions for Stephen or anything? I don't want to be party breaker whatsoever.
Yeah, I've no questions, Stephen. Just a suggestion, maybe. Maybe you leave it a little bit open. I know you said kind of frequent flyers, but maybe you leave it a little bit open and just survey kind of a wider group at the start.
Yeah, sure.
And you might find that actually there's more problems in a new user than a frequent flyer, or there might be more problems in a frequent flyer, and you can focus on that. Yeah, like I've booked a lot of flights in Aer Lingus recently enough. Like I think it's good. There's definitely areas that could be solved there, but I think I don't want to, you know, it could be dangerous kind of pigeonholing yourself into like frequent flyers now and then finding actually the flow is actually okay. You know, it's there's a few little things, but you know, might be big enough work to be a project in it. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you find in it in that early discovery stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd suggest as sorry, I think I could have crossed someone.
Go ahead, Rob.
Sorry, Dean. I was just going to suggest as well, you know, you could look at one thing that really stressed me out about booking any type of travel is the amount of information that is kind of thrown at me. And I think it could be interesting sometimes to look at, like, yes, focus on speed, but like increasing speed should be a case of, you know, following usability guidelines. Like you should be able to increase the speed that someone gets through the task, right? But what might be an interesting kind of wrinkle on it is to look at something else, like almost like give someone a quiz afterwards of like, where are you sitting on the plane? You know, just see how much they actually know at the end of it, how confident they are in that they know what's going to happen next. You need to find some way of measuring that, but you know, you could just look at that as sort of an extra little wrinkle on top of this kind of improving the usability of everything. Yeah, just a suggestion. Sorry, Dean, I could have crossed it.
I was just going to say it could be a good area to. It seems like the kind of flow that could have a lot of issues for edge cases. So it could be worth looking into, say, if you have a disability or if you're blind, is there like affordances there for people with issues like that, or booking for family members? Maybe there could be like things on the periphery that aren't really accounted for.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. But anyways, you'll know more once you do the research. Sorry, Dave.
No, I was just going to say to kind of define the problem space, you know, before you run into it. You know, I mean, that there's problems there. You just have to be very, you know, find something that has a bit of meat in it, you know, and go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just trying to remember something that I did in college, especially for that Aer Lingus multi-trip journey, and I think really that there was a catch with that. I will send you my case study. It's not great, but yeah, have a look there and see if there's anything that you know you can get from it.
Cool, thank you.
Great. Thanks, Stephen, so much. Thanks, guys. Mike, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Share my screen. Okay. So I volunteer with the Samaritans as a listening volunteer, and I'm the local publicity officer as well for my branch. And like I was looking at apps like here in Rhode Island, the Irish Rail app, and I was told Owen politely told me that that's been done to death, and I can imagine why, because it's a disaster. So I've kind of decided to go with something which I use regularly and which I think presents a few interesting use cases in relation to like the actual users, the target audience. So most of the people I work with, or most of the people I volunteer with, are like 60 plus years old. There's a few people are in their 80s. I think one guy is in his 90s. And we use this app. It's a scheduling app. So like obviously we use it specifically for the Samaritans, but it potentially could be used for something else down the line. It's called Bertie. I don't know why. I've tried to find out anything about it online and I can't seem to find it. I think some developer in the back of a cabin somewhere has created this a long time ago, and it's just stayed like this forever. So I've just kind of crossed out some phone numbers there, but and email addresses. So this is it. Like, this is when you want to book your time to be a volunteer during the week. You have to come onto this, and if you look at the areas in red, you sign up. You sign up to do let's say you click sign up, and then it brings you to this. So instead of it actually goes to a separate page instead of bringing up a modal or even like a little drop down. It brings you to a separate page and presents you with this. Like, it is very simple, it's functional, it works, but this also isn't it's not responsive. So this is a desktop only application, but most of the people that use it on their phones, and most of them are quite old. They've got sausage fingers going on. They have they maybe have vision issues. So while the accessibility, like everything's like the contrast is very good, but I think everything is quite small on the screen and you have to pan around sometimes to find something on mobile. So like when you're trying to onboard someone who's 70 plus years old, they do get very frustrated with it, and they have to ask a neighbor or a neighbor's son or a nephew or something like that to help them out. Again, and there's just features on it that just are never used. They're not used for anything. I've never seen anyone use this. I presume the app was made for something else, and Samaritans, it's cheap. Samaritans is a charity, so they just started using this app because of financial issues. And then there's some of the functionality is doubled or trebled. Like, this is just the same way to sign up. You're finding a shift. It's pretty much the same as this, but laid out, just not as well organized. So this is the view of it from the user side. There's also an admin view, which I haven't seen yet, but part of the scope that I'm imagining would be that the admin could possibly add and take away certain sections if they needed, like components that they could add or subtract, depending on use cases for the app. The other thing I'd like to introduce would be, so if I've scheduled something, if I've scheduled a shift for myself, I've signed up for a shift, but something's happened, I need to change it. We have to ring the admin of the site. Her name's Margaret. I can give her first name, it's fine. Her name's Margaret. She's in her 70s. Like, she's unreal. Like, she works, I don't know, she's in there half the time. She practically lives inside in the place here in Tralee. But like, it's really inefficient having to text someone or ring them to ask them to change your shift. Now, it makes sense that you can't change your shift yourself, because everybody, otherwise everybody could be chopping and changing things all the time, and it could get quite messy. So there does need to be some sort of friction involved, but I think ideally it should all be done within an application. added to that, and I think Danny just basically touched on it very quickly, some sort of gamification. So within the Samaritans, there is an issue around retention of volunteers. Now, a lot of that is to do with people just don't have enough time. It's 3 hours a week, every week at least. But people do suffer from a certain amount of fatigue, be it like timing, just time issues, or a bit of maybe empathy fatigue, because it's tough listening to people's problems, 3 hours a week when you're not a professional, let's say. So I'm wondering, maybe just possibly introducing some sort of gamification, but I don't want to widen the scope too much, because even just UI alone and just information architecture, I would think that there's a lot to do there at the moment, but because the functionality is limited, then that's why I'm possibly looking at introducing some sort of gamification to keep people active and interested in like communicating with the app and with the organization. So that's it. That's Bertie.
Thanks, Mike.
Cheers.
Sorry, I don't know if I missed it, but have you mentioned anything about your target audience and people you would like to test with?
Yeah, so the target audience would be the people I work with, but it's the Samaritans all over the country use this app. So I could like, my users are scattered all over Ireland, but like I said, it's mostly people like 50, 60 plus years old.
Okay. And there will be people that are actually using this app.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The only issue maybe would be that it's not a readily available app, so I can't get someone to jump onto it who's never seen it before necessarily. I could. There's different cohorts are being trained all the time, so there might be an opportunity there, but it would be like quite a narrow time frame.
Okay, but it would be easy for you to get the people to test with us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a very interesting problem to solve. There are lots of place for improvement there. Guys, do you have any questions for Mike?
Actually, Mike, I was going to ask do errors ever happen where someone can't book in on the calendar? And then is there an impact of that then? Or it might be just something to consider.
I've never noticed, but it would be something that I could consider. Yeah, I could ask. I could ask other users. All right. Yeah.
And Mike, is the idea, so you have Margaret in the head office who's managing all this. She has a kind of an admin view or whatever.
She's the admin for our branch. Yeah.
Sure. So she'd have her own kind of super user admin type login. Yeah. Okay. So is the idea to have a kind of a desktop app for Margaret and then a mobile app for the users? Is that the way it would work?
Yeah, I would assume that we would have to do that, although I think Margaret should be able to do this from her phone as well.
Yeah, I think if you have an app, like there's two kind of groups here, I'd be careful that you don't bite off too much here, because if you're redesigning Margaret's desktop app or responsive desktop app or whatever, and then you have a mobile app as well, you've got two applications on the go there, there's quite a lot in it. So I'd probably pick just one side, maybe the user side, and forget poor Margaret then for a while,
right, yeah.
And just assume that a great app is being developed for her as well. I mean, I'd say Margaret, if she's in the office, she probably wants to be on desktop and have the big screen and not have a fiddly app to do those little detailed admin work. I'm just thinking. I mean, is an app a better idea than a website for this? It probably is, but just worth thinking about. I mean, if you ask your users, do they do this on their phone more than on a desktop? I know a lot of older people use laptops and iPads and stuff like that, so people were kind of checking that out. And also as well, I mean, it's very rare to find a UX grad that can actually design a responsive website. So I'd love to see somebody do a responsive website and do the whole thing from kind of mobile and desktop, but find out if your users would prefer, you know, what kind of platform they prefer.
Yeah, I can definitely include that in the first stage of the research anyway, for sure.
Don't do desktop just because I'd like it, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like I was to today's point. Sorry, I think first of all, like fair play. That's it's very important work what you're doing, and fair play for picking one of the gnarliest interfaces I've ever seen come through the UX tree. There's a lot of work to do there. I think it could be really interesting in the research phase to just because you probably know this already, but just where people are, right? I was going to say the same thing about like, is it an app? Is it a website? You know, is it even something maybe instead of an app for this project, it's like a texting interface that like you text. You know, a lot of generalized. You know, my older family members who certainly they text a lot more than they would use apps or websites or anything like that. So there could be an interface like that. But yeah, I think really understand where people are. I think the piece of advice I'd have for the project is just that is quite a big app. There's a lot of tasks in there. There's a lot of different flows, and you're going to have a difficult time redoing the whole thing. So definitely, I think a really good place to end up in terms of the artifact that you hand over is maybe like a refreshed look and feel that goes deep into one flow, right? That you don't try and recreate this entire thing because you'll run out of time. So yeah, I would just suggest that. But I think let your research guide what medium you're actually designing, whether it's an app, responsive kind of site, you know, whatever. But yeah, I'm really curious where you end up because that is pretty
it's cool,
pretty out there. Yeah, I actually quite like it. I think it's almost so bad it's good. I think I'm kind of
it feels like it's just an Excel spreadsheet with someone's colored it in.
Yeah, it's like an Excel spreadsheet that was just made like more confusing. It's really it's quite something. I don't know if anyone here knows the original Space Jam website from 1996. Yeah. That's still up on the internet if you want to check it out for similar
very famous.
Yeah, similar experience. Yeah, I think just that. Sorry, that's my. I think just be careful not to go. You know, get the scope get too wide and find out how people want to work with this best, whether it's app, web, you know, whatever, and go from there.
Cool. Cheers.
Very good. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mike. Cian, do you want to go next? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Hi, guys. I'm actually looking to do a project on basically Bandcamp. So to design a feature that can support the growth or the revenue for the artists on Bandcamp and to help the artists explore their common interests. In a way, like, so Bandcamp, just a bit of background, it's an online record store and music community where passionate fans discover, connect with, and directly support the artists they love. The problem, I think, is for artists, up-and-coming artists, to, you know, get recognition and to almost break through. So, with that, basically, I'm trying to build something. See, I'm not 100% sure what the actual problem is. I'm hoping through the research and discovery stage that I'll be able to zero in on it. But the problem I can think would be you know, for them to grow themselves in a small enough scene. Sorry, I'm actually a bit nervous even on this call. I just have so much I'm looking through here. I don't even have it actually done out on slides. But so like how they'd find the music, basically creating a better feature for artists. Musicians, this is probably a big thing to say, but I feel like musicians aren't the best business people. So I could probably give them an option to maybe set up a they'd set up like so. I'm thinking of almost like SoundCloud or Spotify, where they can, you know, they can kind of join into like an account based thing where the see, I'm actually going off here again. So sorry. Yeah, so like the main issue, like the main thing I was thinking was for them to break through to wider audience. And as well, I was thinking to maybe integrate in with AI. So somehow, I know this is very broad, but somehow with AI they could, you know, going back to the actual project name or the project itself, so how they could explore their common interests and basically just buy more buy local products, or even, or sorry, buy more music for themselves to build on their their music profile. But yeah, I'm quite nervous here, sorry guys. I'm looking through all these. The target audience would be, I guess, musicians who are looking to expand their knowledge of music. Maybe in getting an agent even, or maybe something could be big for them, like going on tour as such, depending on what the audience, it's depending on what the actual client or the person using the product will want. Sorry, what else? So like I feel like it's I'm very interested in it myself, and I'm a musician, so my problem with it would be the interface itself, and through UI maybe we could have like Bandcamp as such or teachers to like have a video or so here and there throughout their process of getting to, as a smaller artist, into to reaching through the wider audience and growing. I had read in through sorry. Yeah, I had done some research on SoundCloud and stuff, and they did have like options, quite new options since 2021, where they'd give their fans like they give this thing called fan-based royalties, where each listener's subscription or advertising, the revenue is distributed amongst the artists they actually listen to rather than being pulled, so it's more beneficial for the artist. What else? It's basically like, if I am looking to design a flow as well as figure out the problem itself. So it's got, I'm still not quite yet there, right there, like, but I think that is quite everything there that I have on this.
Sorry, sorry.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, thank you for that. No, we didn't figure out you're nervous. Don't worry. Listen, there's only one thing that I wanted to say. Sometimes when we kind of, when we use the app or service, and then we kind of face one problem, and then it's very difficult to kind of move away from about the solution before we do the research. So just a heads up, try to do the research and, try to find out what the real problem is. And, maybe it's, not to say that that problem is not real, but try to see what feedback you will get from users.
Yeah, I have been told from other artists that are uploading their music, and they have said they said there is an issue with it. So I'm trying to just, through research as well, yeah, definitely through research, then finding if there is the overall problem that I'm looking to fix, or to help.
Yeah, perfect.
Cian, are you looking at like towards the artists as your kind of target
I'm not
user
looking
group, or the fans?
I'm not actually looking, like, I was considering the fans as well, if they were to create an account, becoming a fan to becoming an artist. So no, it is basically for the artist.
Okay. Yeah.
And how they can get more reach,
Sure. Yeah, because I'm like for me, and like I haven't been exposed to Bandcamp that much. I mean, I'm aware of it, but I was always a bit confused about what it was. You know, I
Yeah.
think it has a bit of a identity crisis for fans, for kind of casual fans. Like obviously the artists use it quite a lot, and they post their stuff up there, and it's a music kind of just music discovery really, but it just feels a little bit, it's not well defined by the brand itself around what it actually is. So that's just a different lens you could potentially look
Yeah.
at, you know.
Yeah, so you see, like they don't have an app as well, so it would be almost
Yeah.
a you know, a website. I was more or less thinking that I could almost take the website and almost test it through an application, which would be like I was told it wouldn't be too difficult, but you know,
I think they do have an app actually. I'm pretty sure they do.
Mhm.
You might want to just double check that. Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I have their app. For I don't know, I got sent a link and then I opened up the app. So let me check that out.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was told that the UI hasn't changed in so long. So in that, then maybe I could test a flow or so from what I designed through the UI stages. But of course, getting to actually figuring out the problem is a main thing through research and stuff, which I don't have to get into, you know. Get that head start on.
Yeah, I think before you jump into kind of usability testing or anything like that, maybe do a survey like cast the net wide and ask people more about Bandcamp as a service and what they think it is, and you know what problem it's trying to solve and that kind of thing. You know, before you jump into testing a flow, because you're kind of throwing mud at the wall a little bit there. Because what flow do you test? You know, so find the problem before you test it. Really, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, man.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting area, and I think Bandcamp is such an interesting product because it has so much goodwill behind it, and I don't know what it is. Like I never like I use it from a user side, but it's sort of I never quite know what vertical it's trying to go into. And I think if you're focused on the artist side, I think the best thing you can do is like you know the area you're looking at and you operate within it. Just like have some interviews with other artists about Bandcamp and their experience, and really let that define the problem. Like it sounds like you've an idea of where problems are already, but just really let that like define, because you don't want to bite off too much, but I think just make sure to verify it's an actual problem with multiple people, as a few others have said. But yeah, I think it's really interesting because I've always kind of thought that Bandcamp is like I want to engage with artists that I like on it, but it just seems to make that difficult when that should be like the only thing it does really. So
yeah, and it is one of the greatest, like, with revenue that it is. It's doing amazing, and it seems to be the best platform for people to sell their music on. But then there's not much between the user and artist, or how they'd see that their growth, or even as well as a separate idea would have been kind of to have an almost a tracker for how far their releases are going, and throughout this, that's just a separate idea, but
yeah, something geographical there. SoundCloud has stuff like that, I think.
Yeah, I was initially going to do it on SoundCloud, but then there was just so much more already out there compared to Bandcamp. I just thought that needed more, and there was almost too much done for SoundCloud already. So
yeah,
fair enough.
Very good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Olga, you're the last one.
Yeah, I hope you all have energy for another exciting project idea. I'm sharing my screen. I have just a little presentation. I hope you can see. I'm thinking about a mentor and mentee matching service for LinkedIn. Let's just do it. Okay. My question is, wouldn't it be good if LinkedIn would offer a matching service for professionals who want to mentor and people who need a mentor? I came across with some statistics and benefits of mentorship. Like many companies, successful companies use mentoring programs. They benefit from mentoring programs. And most people say after having mentorship, they are going to mentor others. And yeah, most people find, especially participated in mentorship, they find them that valuable, but only a few, only just a little percentage of professionals have mentored themselves. And mentorship increase promotion and salaries. And also people who got mentorship feel more valued in terms of their work, in terms of what they do, and their confidence is increases. So also mentorship is necessary for increasing people from different backgrounds, people from different ethnicities, etc. In workforce. So what is the motivation for people to reach out a mentor? They want to learn the workplace culture, enhance skill development. They look for networking opportunities, and yeah, it has the potential for promotion, increase the potential for promotion, and it increases problem-solving skills of people, exchanging knowledge. Exchanging knowledge is another benefit of having a mentor, and people who seek mentors also are, some of them are career changers. So, and I think LinkedIn is a great platform to do this, because there are over 875 million users on LinkedIn already, and 52 million users look for jobs through LinkedIn weekly, and 57% of job seekers use LinkedIn to find new job opportunities. And LinkedIn has, in terms of diversity, LinkedIn has members in 200 different countries and regions. And also there is already a potential that people trying to learn new stuff via on learning platform, and they by making they try to make new connections. I came across with a post on LinkedIn. A CEO mentored some people, and then one of the things that she discovered was asking for a mentor was not easy task for everybody. And she said that some people felt the actual reaching out part to ask for a mentor was the biggest hurdle that they had to overcome. Even a person who I already knew reached out to me and said, "You have no idea how torn up I have been to actually determine whether I reach out and ask if you could mentor me." So I think this platform also would be a free platform for everybody to reach out easily. So I think the emotional and motivational barriers would be overcome. And my target audience is all LinkedIn users, actually, because everyone in their in different phases of their careers may need mentorship. So my target audience is LinkedIn users. Actually, this is the end of my presentation. Wishing everyone a successful journey.
Thank you so much, Olga.
Thank you. I forgot to add something else. I also aim to aim this platform to be a platform for organizations as well, like UX3. It's not just for people, but also for UX organizations like UX3, for example, because I came across with UX3 by looking at someone else's profile on LinkedIn. So I saw UX3 on their bio, and so yeah, it would be, I think, good if we have something like this on LinkedIn. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Olga. No, it definitely is a good idea, in fairness, because it is difficult to reach out to people on LinkedIn. I don't know how this, like, probably you have some sort of solution in your mind. I don't know how this would look, but it is a very interesting problem there.
Actually, I'm not sure how it will look, because maybe it can be filtering, or it can be a completely a different platform integrated, like LinkedIn Learning. So it will, I'll decide on according to the research and user interviews.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Well done.
Thanks.
Ask questions for Olga, guys.
Olga, you said the audience is anyone in LinkedIn users, but I'm wondering what angle are you going to come at this project? Is it from the mentee side or the mentor side, or what are you thinking there?
I'm thinking of both, actually, because yeah, everyone can be mentor and mentee at some point. And in terms of user journey, I think I will start with mentees, but then we'll see if I can proceed with mentors. Yeah, maybe I can make a few story maps, so to see the different journeys.
So you think then the problem space will kind of be in finding a mentor, just in that kind of just the search and maybe initial message or something like this, rather than actually going through the mentorship?
Yeah, that's right. And also I think I'm considering to set up a profile, like setting up maybe sub profile, or I'm not sure, that you specify your goals and why you are looking for mentorship. So yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, there's already mentorship platforms out there, so it could be worthwhile part of your research, looking and seeing what works there and what kind of interaction touch points they have.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea. One of those ideas, when it's suggested, you kind of think, oh, I'm surprised it hasn't happened already, considering how certainly I feel in our industry, ADP list is sort of taking off, and those sort of structured platforms for mentorship. I think, yeah, I'd be very surprised if LinkedIn wasn't working on something like this already. So yeah, I think it's a really good idea, and I think you're in a really good place with, you haven't defined a solution as such. I think it's really good you've made a really good case for why this is a problem, or why it could be, an improvement to LinkedIn's service. I thought that was really well done. I would just consider, as you go, as Ray mentioned, just kind of like looking at your user groups, because LinkedIn is used by millions and millions of people. So, you have to, there is a certain subset of people on LinkedIn who are really like want to get a mentor for some reason. So, how you identify them and sort of define your exact user group as you go, I think will be important both defining people who want mentors, but also people who want to be mentors. That's sort of the other side. So do I opt in? You know, how does that work? I was going to suggest as well, there's a sort of a LinkedIn competitor startup called Polywork. I don't know if anyone has used that. It's invite only at the moment. But I think I can probably, I'm on it from ages ago, and I don't use it that much, but it is based a lot more around that kind of social peer, not quite mentoring, but a similar thing. So you might be able to have a look at that and look at some things that they do that you could bring into your solution. But I think it's a really good project. I'm really interested to see where it goes.
Okay, thank you. Actually, LinkedIn had such platform called Career Advice. They initiated around. I researched that, but I didn't know that when the idea came. It was initiated at in 2017 or something, but they somehow around, I guess, 2020, they somehow canceled the project. It was a testing the waters. So they just canceled the project. Their argument was just, their reason was they wanted to focus on the other aspects. I'm not sure why their budget was not ready for such a I don't know, but they had an initiative actually.
Okay.
But canceled it.
Okay. Yeah. That might be worth addressing in your case study, just that you know why this didn't work and what you're coming up with, how that might be different than what they did in the past. Yeah, well done for knowing that. I didn't know that. I do. It sounds familiar, but you've clearly done a lot of research already. So, good job.
Thank you.
Well done, Olgun. Well done, everyone.
Thank
you. So yeah, I think we are all ready for start. So the following meetup is going to be in 3 weeks. So you'll use 3 weeks to finalize your research, and probably after this you'll have a better understanding of the real problem and everything. The following meetup, you don't need the slides for it. So it will be breakout rooms with 2 mentors and 2 mentees in. And yeah, that's it. I'll post everything on Slack, guys. So in case you need anything, just, you know, feel free to Slack me or whatever you need. Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you.
Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Well done.
See you in 3 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
See you, folks. Bye.
Thank you.